Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 70 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League Show podcast. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today are my usual suspects of Barry Stokes and Scott Williams. Lads, how are you today? Scotty, you can see your face.
Yeah, it's a good laptop day today. So we're doing all right. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, bit of a short week for me this week. So I'm almost at my weekend just to rub it in.
Very nice. Baz, how are you? Where are you reporting from this week?
Norwich today. I'm feeling hot.
Thank you for tuning in and joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms of Pod of P on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok is getting some traction this year, boys. We are doing well. And don't forget to like the video if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. The majority of the people that watch our videos don't actually subscribe to the channel. So get subscribing, guys. And well, don't forget to give us 5 stars on your platforms, wherever you get your podcasts from. That's what it's called. I'm going to do this early doors because otherwise I forget and you boys tell me off every week. But if you are tuning in, our league code is V6WX90. That's V6WX90. It is on the outro at the end. But we've got more people than we've ever had before in our pod league. We are up to 50 people in our podcast league. Sorry, Bicar at the bottom. But Judith needs to have a bit of a better start, doesn't she?
She's having a Western.
There's a few people who've had a little bit of a poor start, but don't worry about it. We've Bicar missed game week 1. That's the worst bit. But I won't worry, guys. It's quite close at the top, and there's still plenty of time to make up ground. So let's go to the Podcast Mini League. The leader of the Podcast Mini League is our favourite Will Hughes, and with a great name of change name. He is now 3 points clear of Richard Kirk, who was our manager of the week last week. And then we've got Sam Danby Bailey behind that, David Byrne, and Nicola Tomlinson. She loves an early season run, doesn't she? She's always up near the top. So well done to you guys. Manager of the week was Mr. Will Hughes himself, 76 points. Flecken, Gabriel, Estupinian, Cash, Mitoma and Mbeumo, great combination. Foden, Saka, Salah, captain, which turned out to be the best captain, basically, that people were going for between Saka and Haaland and Salah, because apparently Saka doesn't take penalties anymore, which is crazy. And Haaland blanked. So, Salah there. Haaland with 2 points. João Pedro with none. And it could have been even better for Mr. Hughes with Julian Alvarez, we have a question about later on, sat on the bench for 7 points. We'll get straight into it, lads, because we've got a few questions that have come in. In fact, I've actually quite a lot of questions this week, I should say. Let's start off by talking about Arsenal and a couple of key talking points. Ødegaard obviously on penalties now, but it seemed like Saka was about to take that penalty. Does this make Saka less of an option now, boys? What do we think, Baz?
Well, to be honest, I think Saka was holding the ball for mind games. I've seen it a few times where a non-penalty taker is holding the ball and then passes it on. But when I was watching the game, I thought, Saka's taking this. I ain't got him. I've got bloody Martinelli. Typical. But yeah, it was one of them where, and as we talked about in, I don't know if it was the pre-episode or for starting the league, the league, that it wasn't the best pick anyway. And this just sums it up now. He's off penalties. Ødegaard is obviously potentially a bad pick now. And Martinelli just didn't look right. He was staying just too wide for me, and Havertz was going into his space. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't be looking at getting Saka in now.
Scott, touch on that, and then what's your take on the Gabriel situation? Is it time? Are we going to be keeping him now that Tomiyasu's suspended, or is that going to make a difference? Is Zinchenko going to come up? What are people got to do with Gabriel?
I don't know. It feels like, as a Gabriel owner and someone that's not managed to get 11 players out on the pitch this season so far, it feels like they're going to be like getting anyone in, including the kit man, before Gabriel starts the game. I mean, if there wasn't a red card, I'd be definitely saying get Gabriel out. It just doesn't seem to be fancied. He's been linked with Saudi. Who hasn't been linked with Saudi? Apparently he's not going, but I will say, like, he did show some really good sort of leadership. I think he got the armband, didn't he, when Ødegaard went off and that. And I only watched the last sort of 15 minutes of that game because I was playing football myself. But I think if you've got Gabriel, you're holding on to him for another week. But long term, it doesn't seem fancied.
Seems like the best option in the back seems to be Saliba at the moment. Getting bonus points again this week. Ben White's getting picked, but yeah, it's interesting. Baz, you're a Gabriel owner, are you? You were, or are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, unfortunately, I lost the coin flip of having Saliba or Gabriel. So yeah, I got Gabriel in. But yeah, I agree with Scott. I think it's 1 week, and I'm going to potentially look at offloading. I've already done my transfers already. So obviously I've done 2. That I'll touch upon probably a bit later on. But yeah, potential replacements.
Yeah, replacements, man. Who would you replace him with if you are going to be making those transfers right now?
City got a few good games coming up into it, and obviously they've kept 2 clean sheets now, looking more solid at back. So probably one of them. Walker's obviously just gone up in price at 5.1. So yeah, so probably Man City defense for me, I think.
They've got Sheffield United away, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Norwich at home, Wolves away as their next run, which is pretty awesome. And then they've got Arsenal away game week 8.
I think Brentford's got a few decent fixtures coming up as well, I think. That looks too right. So like Rico Henry or something like that. He's been banging in some points recently. They've
got 2 good home games. They've got Palace at home and then Bournemouth at home. And then it's Newcastle away. But then, yeah, it's Everton at home and Forest away. So it's got to be said that actually what we're looking at here is Brentford having 4 of their next 5 fixtures being pretty good in the run-up to the international break of game week 8. So, yeah, we'll touch on Mbeumo and Wissa and Brentford in a bit because they've got to be people that we'll be considering. But yeah, someone like that as well. I'm just going to try and get the minutes up so far for this season for the defenders for Manchester City. Akanji and Walker are the 2 ever presents. Ruben Diaz 90 minutes, Aki 79, and we've got Guardiola obviously came off the bench for his first and then started the second game 101 minutes. Lewis, Ake, Laporte doing bit parts. So at 5.1, Akanji and Walker. I mean, they're not giving you anything going forward, basically, at all. But Akanji managed to get 1 bonus point in one of his clean sheets. So, yeah, potentially an option there. Let's move on to Chelsea. Because would you look at Mr. Gusto? Is it Gusto? 4 million, Baz?
Yeah, I would have transferred him in. Already got him in. Got rid of Stones because obviously he's injured for a couple of weeks. I think it's 4 or 6 weeks, something like that. So got rid of Stones, downgraded to a 4 million because I didn't have one anyway. I thought Gusto, he looked actually defensively sound, even though obviously Chelsea conceded 3. But Chelsea absolutely dominated that game. They're just screaming out for a number 9, and they're linked with Balogun, aren't they? So that could be a potential 4.5 million in the future. Is he 4.5 Balogun?
Balogun's 4.5, yeah, as a striker,
Could be an option there in a Chelsea team that create a lot of goals, but just don't seem to have the end product. With a new Theo Walcott, does everything but score. Sterling. So he's going to be my new. Just Walcott's got everything, but obviously just doesn't have the end product. He's just a reaction player, and I think Sterling's quite similar to that now. But yeah. Yeah, Gusto definitely worth a shout. Yeah,
few bits on Gusto before I come to you on the whole. Are Chelsea bad or are they good or what the hell do we do with Chelsea? Because their good run starts now. So I'm going to come to you in a sec, Scott, on what we do with Chelsea. But Gusto was one of the best right backs in League One last year. There was this guy called Philip Novak on Twitter, and I follow me, does some really good threads. At 11 Philip Novak. That's FILIPNOVAK, because I did none of this research. It's all him, so I've got to give him credit for that. But he was in the top 3 of chances created. He was top 3 for crosses in there. 3rd in creativity, I should say. 2nd highest amount of crosses in Liga ERN last year. He was getting nearly 0.2 XA per game from open play, which was the 3rd highest. He's not just some random 4.0 who's a bit crap. who's going to come in and replace Reece James. He's there for a reason, and the statistics seem quite good. So at 4 mil, when I can't really see 3 other Chelsea assets I'd want to buy, seems like someone who might on the shopping list. So I think potentially coming in for me this week.
And plus, even though Casado didn't play really good when he came on, he looked awful. I was thinking, if he's under 15 million, I might get my boots back out. So yeah, he played awful when he came on. But when he's in the squad and he's fit, I think Chelsea will be a lot better defensively. And I think obviously that's why I mentioned last week I probably go in double Chelsea defence.
Scott, Chelsea, talk to us, football and FPL.
Yeah, I think Gusto's the right play. Just to reiterate that point, I brought it in when we did our little team draft the other week. Watched the game. He did really well. Chelsea, bit of a I think they've started the season promising. A point against Liverpool, it's not a bad result. And it's a bit of a freak result. Was that game against West Ham? They dominated most of that game. West Ham, they went down to 10. I feel like it was one of those where we've seen it how many times where teams go down to 10 men, they either fold or they rally and they put it up a gear. Liverpool did it this weekend as well. When they went down to 10 men, they looked a better team. And same thing happened here. West Ham looked much, much better. Chelsea, I feel like Chelsea, even though they've got a lot of players, you kind of feel fairly safe with a lot of the picks that you can go for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Like we said there, like Augusto, I feel like is a decent pick. You looking striker wise, Jackson at 7 million, he's a bit, he's doing everything but score. I think Baz may have touched on that. He's looking really sharp at the top there. I think Poch is going to get him playing some decent football, if I'm honest with you. I feel like you said, it's West Ham away against West Ham against their first game of the season. That's a tough game, especially like that big derby that it is. And Liverpool is a tough game. So I think we judge Chelsea on the next 3 games. And I feel like we will be keeping a really close eye on there as attacking options as well.
Jackson's played 180 minutes so far, so no, he's not really a minute's risk as far as I'm aware. And in terms of XG, he's got 1.14 over the season, 6 shots, and all of them are in the box. Only 2 on target, but 3 of them are deemed as big chances. Not so much from the creative side of things, but he's got an expected points of 8.82, and he's only got 2. So, the statistics back up what you're saying there, Scott, in terms of he's doing everything but score. Enzo on pens, 5 mil. Chelsea midfielder, is he going to be playing more advanced when Caicedo's playing? What do we think of him as a bit of an enabler now that Chuck Mweka's out for a very long period of time at 4.5?
I think it's a good shout. Like I said, when Enzo first came in, he was very much coming in to probably replace Kante. But he seems to be playing a bit further forward, sort of supporting, and his passing looks really on point this season. Some of the sort of through balls he's done to create the chances look good. We know he can strike a ball as well. And like you say, for the price, it is quite a good option. I don't think it's going to be. It's not like if you were getting in a 4 million sort of Man City player, you're not wasting it because you're not going to be like chomping at the bit to have 3 standout Chelsea players in at the minute. I feel like you could have literally the 3 players we just said: Jackson, Enzo, and Gusto. Yeah. In your team, and that's some quite a cheap 3 players from Chelsea, but good options.
It's Enzo's taking a couple of corners, and also he's quite advanced compared to what he would normally be. Plenty of through balls, creating some chances. And Chelsea's fixtures are, just skipped on a bit far, but Luton at home and Forest at home, the next 2 are phenomenal fixtures. And Bournemouth away is not exactly a bad one. Villa at home will be a tough game, but then Fulham away and Burnley away wrap up before the international break when they come back and have Arsenal, Brentford, Spurs, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, and Man United, which is the worst run, I think. So again, one of the reasons why a lot of people are looking at wildcarding in game week 9 is because of Chelsea and Spurs and whatever else. But that's just their run there. Sorry, did I cut you off? Did I cut you off, Baz? Sorry, before.
Yeah, our interest. What's Conor Gallagher's position wise? Where's his heat map? Because to be honest, I disagree with Scott. I wouldn't go for Enzo. And he didn't look comfortable taking bloody penalty for starters. He didn't take one in World Cup unless he was taking the fifth. It was just a shock when he grabbed ball. I thought, oh, Jackson's probably going to have this, or your differential, Alex Sterling was going to potentially take it. But then when Enzo stepped up with the ball, I'm like, oh, here we go. He didn't look comfortable at all.
Sterling's a bottle job with pens anyway, mate. Just go to the Euros final.
Yeah.
For an example, let Saka be the fall guy. Yeah, mostly quite a little bit more defensive in terms of position and heat map.
Where Conor Gallagher played well for Palace was he was more forward, and I think that might suit him and keep Enzo still holding. But what do I know? I'm not posh. So,
do you think that's going to be the midfield now? That is going to be Caicedo holding with Enzo and Gallagher, and then it's going to be what Sterling, Jackson, and who else plays for them up there? That's how much I've been watching Chelsea this year.
Chuck Wenker, or whatever, he started, didn't he?
Got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, so you've got Mudryk, can't you? Who's going to be sniffing around, isn't he? Surely he's probably going to be in now, I guess, for Chuck Wenker potentially.
Another Walcott. Just runs too fast, the lad. Just looks like 100 mile an hour.
I love it. He's too quick.
Slow things down, and look after his technique. It's just everything just feels rushed with him.
Yeah, I think we just need to keep an eye on these and see how good the assets are going to be at. Obviously conceding 4 goals in the game. I was looking at 4 goals in 2 games. I was looking at Robert Sanchez as maybe an option as well for a Chelsea pick as a goalkeeper because it's good value. But again, I don't know. You said about doubling up on the Chelsea defence, but I just don't know. I think I'd be having one defender, one midfielder, one striker most probably. I think Jackson seems like a good option. Chilwell I've already got. So, yeah, Gusto's the cheaper option, but then I might look at Enzo or someone like that as my enabling midfielder who I'm pretty sure is going to play. Your thoughts, Scotty? Sorry, just cut you off a bit there again.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I don't think on the Poch, I feel like Poch plays, quite, a bit more attacking football. I feel like that could leave him a bit exposed at the back. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd be doubling up. I'm happy to slab a £4 million defender in there, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of those where he doesn't actually have to play for you because he's $4 million.
Yeah,
it's not. You're not wasting.
Well, he will play for me, mate, because anyone gets a game for me.
But you'll probably jinx him, to be honest. We had wrap on that. We had a question come in about Brighton next, and we've got the news today that Julio Enciso has suffered a trauma to his knee, which pretty much nails on João Pedro. You'd have thought as a player who's going to start after everyone had a bit of a wobble on him last week, because obviously he was benched and Enciso played so well. Apparently, I didn't watch it, but apparently he played really well, and so it looks like João Pedro will be somebody who now people don't need to exit on so quickly. But one of the questions came in and said, with Brighton's run of fixtures that's coming up, and that's West Ham at home, but then they've got Newcastle at home, Man United away, Bournemouth at home, Villa away, and then Liverpool at home, and then Man City away after the international break. So bit hit and miss. Can they keep this form up, Barry?
No, I think they're going to drop off. I've already got rid of Matoma. So I got Foden in because Foden was just unbelievable.
We'll get on to Phil. We'll get on to Phil. Brighton, Baz.
Yeah, Brighton. Right. So yeah, I think people are just going to learn what they're doing, and I'm trying obviously stop them from playing, unless they play Man United where everyone can just go through them. But yeah, I think the West Ham game. West Ham obviously got the tails up now, depending on what obviously happens with Paquetá. But yeah, I think it's gonna end. I think, but what do I know? End of the day, the Zerbi's got on playing, and they've scored what? How many goals now they've scored? They've got 8 or something like that in 2 games.
Yeah, 2 4-1s.
Yeah, it's just like obviously attacking great, but I don't think the defence has been tested as yet. So
that's why you took a midfielder out.
Yeah, exactly, because that's stupid.
In all fairness to Matoma, he has only scored 17 points in 2 game weeks.
And Estupiñán with 18 points, expected goal involvement of 2.3 so far, which is so. I mean, he is overperforming his expected, but not by much. by 0.7, and that's it. Which is why they've obviously been. The statistics aren't that far wrong. So, Scott, why does no one still really want Solly March and they all want Matoma?
Because Solly March sounds like just a lad from down the street, doesn't he? Matoma's exciting. We've said this last season. He sounds exciting. He plays exciting. He's got a cool name, Mbeumo. I mean, yeah, I genuinely think that's the reason.
His XG, right? So just to compare the two for podcast listeners, I've got the statistics up on the screen for YouTube watchers. XG this season, March 1.81. This is over 2 games. 1.81, 3 goals scored. Mbeumo 0.53, so less than a third, and he scored 1 goal, a third of the amount of goals. Well done, good maths, Al. Expected assists 0.3 for March and 1.17 for Mbeumo. So he's the assister, and March is the guy that scores.
Yeah, but you're going to start. Most people start the season with Mbeumo. You're not going to take Mbeumo out for March at this moment in time.
Absolutely not. So and you're also not going to double up either.
No, and you're going to have a Stupinian in there, and a lot of people got João Pedro, so you're just not going to move at the moment. But I think, yeah, Solly March, you've always got an eye on. He's probably one of the, I guess, probably one of the most underrated players last couple of seasons. I reckon he's probably never talked about unless you're a Brighton fan around like an international. Is he English or is he? I'm going to embarrass myself.
That's what I was going to ask. Actually, a question: do you think he should be in the England squad?
Yeah, well, that's it. He doesn't get talked about, does he? But if he keeps doing this and he's on form, absolutely should be in and around.
It's got to be ahead of Sterling at the moment.
Ahead of Rashford at the moment.
Hang on. Whoa. Hang on. We'll get to United in a minute, but I don't think this is fully Rash's fault. But there you go. So Brighton, you don't think you're going to keep up bars? I think that they will against West Ham in terms of get a win at home. I think that Newcastle at home game is going to be great, and I think they'll beat us away. I think they'll come to Old Trafford and teach us a lesson probably at the moment, especially if Casemiro still can't breathe properly in the middle of midfield. He's falling over. And then Bournemouth and Villa. Yeah, I think that holds. Scott, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping them now. They're just looking too good. They're looking like the best team in the league. So yeah, I can't get rid of them. Yeah.
Let's jump on to Man City then, Baz, because I know you're just dying to talk about Phil and the man that you've got into your team. Talk to me about the City game, why you've gone for Foden. Talk to me about Man City.
Just literally, I think Ali McCoy's had to relieve himself to the toilet. He was that excited about Phil Foden. Yeah, he was literally everything came through him. He was picking up pockets of space, and obviously the link up looks like a Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland link up, and I just think I had to get him in because of that. If Haaland starts scoring, I know Haaland didn't score, but if Haaland scored some of them, Foden would have got some massive points, and obviously Haaland would have done it. And now they picked the wrong captain because I had Salah. But City just looks like City. Just literally everything they do and new tactics that they implement just always works. And Pep's just a genius. But obviously he's had back surgery now, so he's missing the games up till international break, I think.
He's got the next 2. He's not going to be about full. Can't be asked coming to Sheffield and then going down to London for Fulham.
But to be honest, I don't think that's going to matter. I think the well drilled. What they also got is they're very good technicians, but they also work on the ball. And I think some of the other clubs don't work as hard as what Man City players do. Like Foden's and Grealish, like tracking back, winning the ball back, and then trying to feed Haaland on the counter press. It's great to watch. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, that's all I can say about that, to be honest. I've been ranting about ages for them, so I'll keep it short.
There's one ever presence, though. Walker, Foden. Walker's missed a minute. But Foden, Ederson, Akanji, Rodri, and Julio Alvarez. Scott, your take on Phil Foden before we move to the question of Alvarez as an option.
Yeah, I can't really add too much. I didn't watch the game, but I've heard 2 people talk about it, and I think Baz and Tom would sound like they're going to be joining Alan McCoy in the toilet. So yeah, what one to be looking at?
Alvarez, Scott, do you think he is a good option? He's been ever present, not missed a minute so far for City.
Yeah, I really do. I thought at the beginning of the season, again, I got him in our draft league, and I brought him in because they were looking. Obviously, they got rid of attacking options. That might change now when they're bringing in the Belgium Doku. But I think he's a player. It just feels like a player that Pep trusts this season. Feels like he gets to the beginning of the season, goes, who do I trust then? And then just Alvarez. He's a good lad. But yeah, absolutely. I think he trusts them. I think he, like Baz says, he works, or they all do, but he works really, really hard off the ball as well. Absolutely. And again, this season we seem to be lacking strikers up there. As an option, you could double up your Man City options, definitely up top.
Alvarez, before we move on from good old Manchester City to their defenders. Actually, we've done defenders already, but I just want to finish off that point on defenders.
Fair enough, I agree with Scott. I think he looks good. Took his goal really well, but it was just in and out. But obviously, Haaland's like that, in and out. Obviously, when he gets it, you just think, oh yeah, what excite me. And that's what City do up top. It's just how it is.
I'm absolutely going to try and see if I can clip you going, oh yeah, excite me. That's a soundbite. That was brilliant, Baz. I like that. And just to finish off on the points for City defenders and bringing them in before we move on from them finally. Yeah, for clean sheets is great. Again, they're offering good value. Guardiola, Kanji, Walker, whatever. But don't be expecting any attacking returns from them because they're just, they didn't. I had Gary Neville said on Monday Night Football. He went, everyone's going to inverted wing backs and going crazy and following Pep, and Pep's now moved back to a flat back four. Two holding midfielders.
and usually it's like 4 centre halves. Obviously, Walker's played centre half, so it's crazy. Yeah,
it's brilliant, actually, isn't it? Finally, so before we move on, Scott, I wanted to ask Rodri. Just a trap, a waste of a City space like normal, or is he actually a genuine option this year?
I think it's a bit of a trap, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be using them because saying that, I'm looking at my team. I've got one Man City player in it now, which is absolutely mental to think. This would probably be a time where you maybe could get Rodri in but again, you won't have him in over Foden. So yeah, no.
I'll tell you who looks really good, actually, Kovacic. He was breaking lines really well, whereas Rodri just stayed back. And Kovacic was creating stuff, a bit like how he plays for Croatia when linking up with Modric. And you never seen that at Chelsea. And obviously now he's got a new leash of life and gone, right, go and attack. Don't be holding. Oh, excite me. Just go.
One thing I'll say about Kovacic is I've never thought, do excite me.
But if you watch the game, he was getting into nice little pockets, but a lot deeper than what Foden did.
Did you watch this game with some tissues, mate, by any chance?
I actually watched it in toilet. I was
it was remember Kovacic last season didn't do anything, but the season before he did go on that little run. Remember, he did that little sort of like that Gundogan got 5 attacking returns in 7 games or whatever it was, and I remember Tom banging on about I'm going to bring Kovacic in. And he said, I just remember it stuck with me for ages, and I was like, I think it's a trap. And it was.
Yeah,
but short term, he did have an output for a really short period of time. So it can happen where he just goes off for a little bit and cracks on. Man United, are we the new Spurs, Scott?
It's looking that way, pal. I again did not watch the game, just the highlights on Saturday, but I'll put it this way, right? And I got a text from my mum, and it literally just said, "Man United are SHIT." That's all the text said. That's all it said. And you know what? I back my mum's footballing knowledge. So yes, you are the new Spurs.
I did win a trophy last year, but yeah, I understand the points that he's making. Mr. Roy Keane, that is. Baz?
I just think you're playing Moses every time. Like the midfield just open up, and it's like
nothing about Victor.
We need Victor, I think, at the moment.
Any Moses can part ways, even Tom, Dick, and Harry can at the moment. But yeah, it's I think what's going to help Man U, I know it sounds weird, and I give him some stick as well. Mason Mount's injured.
Injured now,
and I think putting another midfielder that's actually defensive minded, even though he doesn't fancy McTominay, would help Man U, because the wingers don't look like they want to get involved. They're just too sporadic. They're all over the place. They're erratic. I just don't get it. Rashford through middle. I just don't know what Ten Hag's trying to do. I think he's waiting for Rasmus to get fit. And is he the answer?
Who knows it? I don't know. I think the problem is he plays Rashford through the middle that doesn't work. Just stop doing it. Because, like I said last week, can't play off him, blah, 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 repeating myself. And then we've got like this pressing in midfield. And it's the most disjointed press ever. And then Casemiro's not fit. I'm telling you this, I said this last week, he's just not fit. He's thrown himself on the ground and there's massive spaces in between, which was so easy to play against. Eriksen will play, I reckon, against Forest next game. And we only, I think, lost one game with Eriksen, Bruno, and Casemiro as our midfield three last year. One of the questions is, do you keep Bruno and Rashford for one more week with them playing Nottingham Forest at home? I would say yes is the answer. So expected goal involvements. Let's do that. Bruno missed a proper sitter against Spurs. I mean, it's funny, right? We got absolutely rinsed by all the pundits and everyone else, and how Man United are falling apart and we're rubbish. We had some proper chances in that game. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of it, which was what was a more worrying thing, I think. But 1.5 XGI for Bruno and 1.2 for Rashford. I'd be keeping both of them for this week. I saw Bruno last week. I'd be keeping both of them for this week. But if I had to get rid of one of them, it would be Bruno. Because I do think that Rashford will come good sooner rather than later. Yeah, I just hope he stops trying to play him through the middle, but Martial can come on now. And, as much, it just shows, right? Everyone ripped at Ten Hag for buying Weghorst. There was a reason. And it was the press from the front. He was half Firmino. And he just, did a job. Scott, anything else to add on Man United? I'm going to obviously do the quick fire now. Who would you sell, Rashford or Bruno? Anything else to add before you answer that question?
I have nothing else to add.
Rashford or Bruno, who would you sell?
Bruno.
Baz?
I've got Rashford, so Rashford.
No, who would you sell if you had both?
No, I wouldn't have any of them. I wish I didn't put them in my team.
Okay, so
at the start of the game. If I knew Man United was this bad, I wouldn't have picked any. I did have a template where I didn't have any Man U players.
I think it's.
I wish I stuck by it now.
I think it's really funny because we'll be fine. we started off a lot worse last season.
Exactly.
Moving on to the team that we played against, Spurs. So they have a fantastic fixture run coming up now. This is when their fixtures switch, and we need to talk about investing in Spurs. Bournemouth away, Burnley away. So 2 away games, but Bournemouth and Burnley, so they're winnable matches. Followed by Sheffield United at home. So those are their 3 big matches before their fixtures get quite tough. Arsenal away and then Liverpool at home. And then they do have Luton away the last game before the international break. So we've got 3 really good fixtures, 2 hard ones, then 1 good one. What are we thinking about Spurs then? Maddison left in a boot, didn't he? But apparently that was precautionary and he might still be playing. Porro then started over Royale, but Destiny kept his place at left wing back. Bassoon looks unbelievable. What did we say last year, Scott? I can't believe he didn't play more last year. Bassoon was unbelievable the year before last at Brighton. He was probably one of the best players. He was in my team of the year. I was still regret United not buying him. That would have been such a good signing last year. Anyway, fandom. Baz, talk to me about Ange Ball.
It's great to watch, isn't it? It's brilliant to watch. You know what's going to happen. It's like a Glasgow era where it's going to be, we'll beat you, we'll score more than you. It'll be a 5-4 game. But like I said, Man United had the chances, so they're going to be able to put the back. So you're probably looking more attacking returns if you're going for the defenders. So you'd be looking for a Destiny or a Porro or an Emerson Royale. But one of the guys that impressed me, and obviously he scored, is a 4.5 million midfielder, that's Sarr.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really good. He was like a Højbjerg kind of player. Obviously, Scott's love child from last year, who you kept banging on about. But yeah, with this one, I think 4.5 million at Sarr. I was actually tempted to get him in, but I wasn't going to do a minus. And me doing minuses is quite rare, especially from my minus 24 that I did a couple of seasons ago. But I've learned my lessons.
You've never taken a hit. You're not taking a hit since, have you?
No. I try not to. I think I only did one, maybe two last season. So I'm trying to go all this season without taking a hit.
I think, yeah. But you won the league, mate. So 4 hits was fine. I think you did.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Sarr's a good shout. 4.5 million. Kulusevski looked okay. But Richarlison okay. That time, them play like Son okay. Maddison looks good, but he didn't really do a lot in that game. But yeah, if I had to pick one of them, I'd probably pick Maddison or Sarr. Them two.
Nice. I like the Sarr shout for an enabler in midfield. Yeah, it's Maddison and Destiny for me. If I'm for position wise, I'm not really been impressed with Son or Richarlison or even Cooley really. Scott, your thoughts on Spurs?
Yeah, no, good to watch out there. I kind of knew there would be. I think it's always good when you bring a sort of someone that's just won loads of trophies. He's used to winning, got that winning mentality, and he's got a really good sort of aura around him. I think he speaks really well, and I can see him being a fantastic sort of man manager as well. So yeah, Spurs back to being probably how they looked under like Redknapp and Poch, that kind of exciting team that does everything but win a trophy. So let's see. But yeah, good shouts there, boys. Well done.
Thank you. Last,
I've got another shout. I think he's going to get manager.
I think at some point, Baz, you're going to have a shout for every single manager and player throughout this season.
You think he's going to manager the year? I think he'll sacked about March probably. Crystal underrated, man. Right, so Crystal Palace are a team that we need to keep an eye on. They probably could have got something from the Arsenal game. Tommy Astu just kept wasting time. What's he doing? And Crystal Palace have Brentford away, Wolves at home, Villa away, and Fulham at home. So they have 2 quite tough away games, Brentford and Villa, but then they have Wolves and Fulham at home all in that. Man United away and Forest at home. And those are their fixtures before the World Cup. I'm not saying we should overinvest in Palace, but we have got Edouard at 5.5, who's played 180 minutes so far. He has got a goal. He's got an XG of 2, so slightly under XGI, of 2, so he's slightly underperforming that. XG of 1.64 and 1 goal. Eze, whose statistics don't look amazing for goals, 0.25 XG, but he has had 12 shots, 6 in the box. He's had loads of shots, which has been great. And expected assist of 0.77, no assists yet. I think Roy Hodgson said he needs to stop trying to win games by himself. That was the quote that I heard.
He's trying to step in Zaha's shoes, isn't he?
He is. Lerma coming in is giving him a bit of freedom, which I think is a really good signing from Roy. Baz, quickly, Edouard, Eze, will you be keeping a close eye on them for Brentford away, or is there someone that you might even consider, maybe not you, but other people investing in because you're doing your transfers?
To be honest, I won't go for any Palace players. They defended really well against Arsenal.
Yeah.
but Brentford away, I won't be screaming out to get a Palace player in. No,
we're going to go to them. Yeah, Scott, keeping an eye on them with the run of fixtures they've got, or just ignore?
You're keeping an eye on Eze. Edouard is a poor player. I think this is probably his hot streak of the season. Yeah, you're keeping an eye on Eze, and that's probably about it.
I am going to try and spell Mbeumo, and then also try and spell Wissa correctly. There you go. Talking of Brentford, I'm pretty sure these are the 2 highest scoring players in FPL so far. or at least near enough with Solly March. You can double check that stat for me, someone. I'm on here. But I've got a question about Mbeumo and Wissa, obviously, with Brentford's fixtures, like you said earlier, Baz. Palace at home, Bournemouth at home next to, Newcastle away, but then Everton at home, Forest away. Mbeumo and Wissa? One of the questions was, should we be doubling up?
They're cheap enough to.
6.6 Mbeumo, is he? That's still a thing?
Yeah, and I think Wissa's gone up to 6.2 now.
Well, I mean, just it seems like a really good option for an attacking player.
The number 2 and 3 of these, mate. Our boy Solly's number 1.
That's it. 23 points in 20 matches on 24. So Kinder's got 23 points, 3 goals, no assists. Vissa's got 2 goals, 1 assist. They are outperforming their statistics by double. Really, I think. Is that right? No, is that per start? Or is that exactly right? Oh, no, that's still... I've got that wrong. Ignore that last point. I'll look at their expected stats in a minute because they're a bit further down. XG was 2.6 for Mbeumo, and he's got 3 goals. XG 1.4 for Wissa, and he's got 2 goals. So not quite outperforming them by double, but doing quite well. Should we be moving for these guys, Scott, this week? Are these on your radar for transfers for you?
If my team want a mess as it is already, they would be, mate. But other fires, as we like to say, to put out. But yeah, I like the look of Crystal Palace at home, and you say Bournemouth. I would be definitely looking at one of them. I feel like any of them really. I don't know if they're linked with any sort. Pushing further forward.
Well, I lost you then briefly, Scott. But yeah, I think these guys have to be on your radar, and I think they can keep it up. I think they'll do really well. A couple of key points as well I want to do before we move on to captain picks and differentials and potentially our pod transfers. Douglas Luiz took the penalty when Watkins was on the pitch, and that is a shame for Ollie Watkins owners. Douglas Luiz is, again, one of the top scorers. He was the second top scoring Villa asset last year, and if he's on pens, he's getting quite advanced. He's someone to keep an eye on moving forward. That was the only real point that I had that I'd missed off the list. Baz, briefly, nightmare for VAR again. Decisions, red cards being overturned.
They couldn't overturn the Tomiyasu one anyway, but I feel that's obscene because it was just crazy. But yeah, it was crazy. There was a lot of penalty decisions as well. I counted about at least 9 or 10, and that's including the Women's World Cup as well. And I could go through them, and I only think out of all of them, I'll give 5. So out of them, and I would not have given the handball against what's her name, Walsh. No, I want to give it.
Brutal, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think quite a lot of them have been brutal. To be honest, I think it needs to be like they need to set some rules and guidance over it. I know they've got some and say, no, yeah, if you have your arm up in an unnatural position and things like that, then I'm sorry, but if you're going in to try and obviously block a shot, you always like that. And it's quite difficult. You're going to lose your balance and you can't react to another thing. When the ball breaks out. And yeah, I'm trying to obviously keep it brief, but yeah, they had a nightmare. Leave it as that.
I think it's just the inconsistency. So the United one, for an example, with Romero, I don't think it should be a pen, but it should be given on what other pens have been given. Do you know what I mean? It's that's the thing that's really annoying about it all, because then the Walsh one's given in the World Cup final, and then the Dunk one was given, but that was a mistake, and it's all. So, I mean, you're just all the shambles, to be honest, aren't you? You've had a couple of years at it now, the teething stage is done. You keep getting things wrong. You're now just turning into a joke. So either get it right or bin it off, my personal opinion, in terms of VAR and poor Alexis McAllister.
We'll do it like tennis.
Yeah, challenges.
Have challenges.
Yeah, I like it. Challenges, why not? Scott, the Women's World Cup. Would you like? Did you watch the game? Did you watch any of the matches?
Yeah, I watched a few of them. I tried as much as I could to watch them. Yeah, it was quite funny. It was a World Cup where we just seemed to grind our way through. I know we're missing a few key players. Obviously, we missed James from the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, who up to that point was probably, the star of the tournament for England. But yeah, got beat by the better team on the final, in my personal opinion. Yeah. It's a bit of a tough one because I was gutted as well, but I was over it after about half an hour, and hopefully by the next World Cup, I'm really gutted, because I was in mourning after we lost that Euro final, genuinely really low for like 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is I hope the women games gets propelled even further and further, where I'm gutted for a long, long time if we lose a big final. But yeah, what a couple of years have had, to be fair. Like Euro champions, got to the final, narrowly missed out. Should be really, really proud, and it's done amazing for the women's game in this country.
Couldn't agree more, mate. I was gutted for them, but I think at the same time, like you say, we're on the up, right trajectory. Look at Spain, like they've won all the under 17s and 20s or whatever it was World Cups. Barcelona, the number one women's team. They did really, really well. So yeah, beaten by the better team. Let's we're going to do our first edition of pod transfers. And I'm conscious I'm already running over my time. God, honestly, I try to keep these short, lads. We just keep talking. I know it's probably more me than anything else. Baz, what do you recommend that we do? I'll just put a poll up. So, what are the transfers that you recommended that we did for the podcast team this week?
Obviously, get rid of the 2 injured players. It's as easy as that. I'd get rid of Stones and put Gusto in, was it? And then I went get rid of Chuck and put Brentford Sharda in.
Sharda was interesting. So obviously we've got 9.8 Gusto before, so we had 5.8 to spend. I think Sharda is Sharda 5.8 or 5.9?
5.5.
5.5. So Sharda, you wanted to get a piece of that Brentford action. My thoughts were to let's just sack off Gabriel as well. I don't know if we can afford my transfer. I think they've all gone down. I was going to do these yesterday, but Gabriel and Stones
today.
Yeah, and Gabriel's obviously 4.9 now. He's 5 when I looked at these anyway. Well, I'll have to have another look, but I was going to take a -4, and take Gabriel, Stones, and Chuck Mwaka out for Gusto, Kinder, Mbeumo, and Bayer. Scott, did you look at this?
No.
You're going for Bueno?
Yeah, Brian.
I would keep Gabriel in.
Oh,
I think there's a decent chance he starts with the injuries and suspensions. So yeah, I'd be taking those 2 out.
Yeah, Gusto then comes in, and it's who do we then have for 5.8 million in terms of a midfielder, and that's who we've got to do for our considerations. If we have a look and get rid of Gusto.
Do you know what? I wish there was a play called Zizzi's, and we could just bring in like Italian restaurants.
Very true. Italian restaurants. What a pick. Rodri by Bailey. Could we go for Sarr? There's a 4.5 option. Another 4.5. Yeah, there's a few people who would have a look.
I think Bailey's looked pretty good, I must say, when I've watched him for Villa.
Yeah. Well, Villa's not good at attacking, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
A few options there to have a look at. But we'll submit what we think tonight, lads, to each other, and we'll put a poll up for everybody to vote on and see what we think. 5% differentials for the week.
Sterling.
Straight in. Yeah, do you know what, Scott? I'm just really pleased that you've done it.
I know. I'm so proud.
He was on mine. He looked really good, but he just couldn't have the end product.
Yeah.
Sounds,
all been there.
Sounds about right for. Yeah, we have, haven't we? Yeah, classic Sterling. Baz.
I did have Sterling. I'll go for him. I'll go for Sharda.
You're going to go for Sharda? Okay.
0.1% owned.
That is very short, to be fair. I think that I haven't done this yet, so let's look at the fixtures.
Alex, come on, we do it every week, mate.
Scott Williams.
As if I've done it as well this week, as if I was about to rip Scott and I was terrible at it as well.
Oh no, the reason I've done it is because now I know how to check. So I'm pretty proud of it. He got Son, mate. Oh no, you haven't.
No, as well. I haven't got Son.
Cameron Archer could be a good shout. He's
Bailey.
going somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to Sheffield United.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I just don't really know I'm going to go for it, to be honest, lads.
Richarlison?
Absolutely not. I think he'll score less goals
Wow.
than Kane in the Prem this year.
You know, really quickly, you said about Nsiko. He's got no flags next to him.
Yeah, he just come up on Twitter about an hour ago.
Right.
So it's it's not come up yet that he's going to be out.
Bailey.
You got
I'm going to go for Pascal Gross. I just clicked on Brighton and he was cheap. Let's do fixtures and give me a second because I do want to pick someone here. The deadline is 6:30 on Friday. Chelsea versus Luton is the game. Then we've got Bournemouth Spurs, the early kickoff on Saturday. Arsenal Fulham, Brentford Palace, Everton Wolves, Man United Forest, and then Brighton against West Ham. Then Super Sunday, Burnley Villa not on telly, Sheffield United Man City, and Newcastle Liverpool. Guys, are we looking at anybody in particular for captain? What we're going with now after obviously Haaland's blank, and who are we going for captains?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, if for any reason I had Jackson in my team or Sterling, and I really haven't done anything this season, I'd be so tempted with that game at home to Luton on the Friday. I think we've still got that Haaland fear, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. Man United game, but they've looked crap.
Yeah, this is one of the games where you potentially look at a Man United player, but you won't, will you? Arsenal. Home to Fulham. Yeah. Maybe as a Saka as an option. I mean, I think it's just going to be stuck on Haaland. I mean, look what he did away to Burnley.
Didn't he score? Oh no, it was Mahrez who scored a hat-trick against Sheffield last year, wasn't it, in the FA Cup? I think that could be a Sheffield United at home, first game at home. No, it's not the first game at home. Ignore that. Yeah, Haaland.
Yeah. Baz?
Maybe a Newcastle asset because Liverpool can't defend.
I was just looking at Newcastle for my differentials, but they're also over 5% other than Tonali. Who's worth it? Oh, Anthony Gordon's like 0.5. I'll Baz, just put me down for Enzo. I've banged on about him on this pod so much, and he's underneath. So put me down for Enzo. It's gonna be Haaland for me. Baz, wrap up. Who do you think?
Haaland's my captain at the moment, and I've got vice Foden.
That's it for us this week, lads. I've not missed anything, Baz. Sweep up for me. Tell me. Have I missed anything? I don't think so.
All good, mate. All good in the hood.
No, you're all good, mate. I've been keeping an eye on it this week.
Thank you very much.
Just be a bit sharper next week, mate. That's all we
You're a
have.
changed man, Scott.
Apologies. I did send you the agenda, and also, I was 5 minutes late, and I'm the guy that was running behind. Code V6WX90. Thank you ever so much for joining us this week. I'm being called by my daughter. So thanks ever so much for joining us this week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.